Hey everyone, this is Mike. So I want to wrap up a series that I've been talking about for the last week or two, and that is the application of cognitive behavioral therapy to different aspects of life. Now, I defined cognitive behavioral therapy quite broadly. I include cognitive behavioral therapy, rational motive behavior therapy, choice theory or reality therapy, solution focused therapy, NLP, philosophical counseling. So there's a number of multimodal therapy, which I'm going to be talking about in the next series. So there's a lot of different areas, behavioral activation, that fall under the CBT category. And basically the idea, though, is that what we think and do impacts our emotions. Now, it's not one or the other. Obviously, our emotions impact what we do and how we think, and our thoughts impact what we do and what we think, and what we do impacts how we think and what we feel. And of course, then the physiology is brought into the mix as well. You know, if we're anxious, obviously our pulse rate goes up, and if we're angry, we get tense, and our muscles. So there's many aspects of this, but the idea is that what we think and what we do is what we have the most control over, and we can impact our emotions and even our physiology by our thoughts. So it really is the thoughts, actions, physiology, and emotion, but we have the most direct control over what we think and do. Not total. Also, this implicates the fact that we also have the impact to internally control our mood, not just external, but again, not 100%. There are things that really environmentally can bring us down. You know, people do have the obvious is the seasonal affective disorder, where if it's a cloudy day, we tend to feel more depressed. But again, it's what we think about it and what we do. You know, even if it's a sunny day, if people stay inside all day, they're not going to. You have to take advantage of the external. So while acknowledging that the external does have an impact, there may be there is some genetic influence. We may be moved in one direction versus another. But I do think that 75 to 80% of how we respond is cognitive and behavioral, broadly speaking. What we think and what we do impacts how we feel and the physiology. And that's an internal process. And so today I just want to focus on, since we talked about if we could change how people think in school, parenting, relationships, the corporate and work world, and now of course this is the more individual, working on the individual. Now there's a couple of books that I will have, just I did the others. There's a few. This is more philosophical counseling, applying certain philosophical ideas. Some people are very philosophical, very analytical. This is an old book, Plato Not Prozac. And again, this helps us think, in a more philosophical way. Certainly I don't want to, I want to be kind of agnostic on religious aspects. I'm not pro or anti, but there are many religious aspects that people find very helpful and very beneficial, and certainly more spiritual as well. And I certainly would want people to pursue that if that's something that speaks to them. Connected to that, though, is logotherapy. This is just a logotherapy in action book, but logotherapy, Man's Search for Meaning, by Viktor Frankl. Again, finding a higher purpose in life and the way you interact. He was in a concentration camp, and it was really, you couldn't do anything. One of the things that he posited is, what do you do? How do you go on when everything's been taken from you? How do you go on? And at the end of the day, all you have is this. It's all you have. When your freedoms, when your body, when your family, your interpersonal, when everything's been taken from you, all you have is this. So, again, and that's a cognitive piece. Now, are you going to be in the best state? No. No. It's not where you're going to truly flourish. But we do have an ability to impact to some extent a life. And so we want to, again, change what we can control. Martin Seligman, who did learned optimism, how to be more optimistic, he also created a book called Authentic Happiness. This is an older book. He's written a few more since then. But he talks about not just how to overcome negative emotions, but to increase positive emotions and actually be happy. And again, a lot of it is cognitive behavioral, identifying your values, things that are important to you, and using them, things that are intrinsically important. There's also the pleasures, the pleasant life, and maximizing. You have like a cup of coffee, a glass of wine, hot shower, being with people that you enjoy, playing sports. Those are certainly external and behavioral, but being true to yourself and your values. And finally, I did a self-published book, A Higher Purpose, How to Increase Satisfaction. As you can see, it's very, very thin. It's on Amazon. You can get a hard copy or Kindle for like $1.99 or $2.99 or something like that. It's very, very cheap. But this is basically synthesizing all the things that I've talked about: reality therapy, REBT, CBT, logotherapy, philosophical counseling, many of the major CBT, broadly speaking, theories all together in one place. I wrote another book, done an early video, how can you inculcate this into the classroom so students can learn through learning, right? Not a separate class like an advisory, but integrated into the actual teaching, no matter what the subject is. But this will help you kind of formulate a way to apply in a very, very short, like 25 pages, a plan to use these ideas. Now, obviously, it's an overview, clearly. It's a very, very short book, but you can read more books, and that's why I'm showing these books. You can try seeing a therapist, which I think is great, or a coach, but hopefully a coach that has a background in mental health, or at least is aware of NLP or REBT, CBT, solution-focused. But again, this is going to finish up the series where it's the individual, couple, parenting, raising children, school, and the business and corporate world. And if all of these areas brought in the concepts of CBT, where we change our thoughts and our actions to be less stressed, less anxious, less worried, less depressed, less lonely, less fearful, dealing with imposter syndrome, low self-confidence, self-esteem, no self-acceptance, that most of the problems I think that people have would be eliminated. Now, not all. And even if a person had great parents and they were parented well, in their school they learned it, and went to work, and then they went, would they still need individual therapy? In some cases, yeah. I don't want to ignore that. And I don't want to ignore there are other kinds of theories like psychoanalysis or even narrative therapy. Narrative is, you tell your story, right? I think one of the biggest blocks to people using CBT is not that the CBT doesn't work, but people need to tell their story. They have a lot that's inside, and they need to share their view. And I think a lot of CBT it jumps right in. Same thing with like solution focus. Let's just jump right in. And of course, developing a relationship is important, but sometimes people need to tell their story, and they need to explore the past. Not because exploring the past or gaining insight is going to solve the problem, which is what some therapies, psychoanalysis in particular, believes. Just exploring the past, getting in some insight, and then somehow you'll have that aha moment. I got it. Now it all makes sense. CBT doesn't really believe that, but I'm certainly open to it. I've seen people have a lot of success with different types of therapy. But I think it can be beneficial for CBT in that it allows people an outlet. They have their story to tell. They want to tell it. And then that makes it easier to access the CBT techniques. Sometimes that is a block. They feel a little inhibited, a little restrained. They want to tell their story, and then they're more open to using the CBT techniques. So anyway, I hope this series has been helpful, and we're going to start next time on what I call the multimodal. Arnold Lazarus did multimodal, and I'm going to kind of jump on that because I think that's really what I'm talking about, isn't it? Multimodal, different ways of using CBT, reality theory, choice theory, NLP, solution focus, and some of the others. So I hope you'll join me next time, and I look forward to speaking to you then. Bye-bye.